This one seemed really interesting to me. It caught my eye. I always enjoy very much the question of existence, life. It's something that I revise in my head as I go through my experiences in life, right? So I am the type of person that definitely questions their existence all the time. It's just where I've gone. You know what I mean? It's just how my brain has developed. I'm very analytical. I'm an inquisitive mind. You know, I really, really love to explore deeper thoughts and takes on life. This video seems to do that from what I saw. And you know me, I like to take chances when it comes to videos. You know, I give new things I've never tried, new people I've never watched a chance, and I do it live on stream, which may be reckless. You know what I mean? I have no idea whether the video is going to be good or bad. I just pretty much look at the numbers. You know, this guy has a lot of subscribers, so you know he has some well-received content, and the videos seem very well received. They had a couple million views, so or 4.1, so more than just a couple. So hats off to this guy, Melody Sheep. Never heard of him, never seen him, but it seemed very interesting. And yeah, I really don't know much other than this. The title is The Human Future, A Case for Optimism. And the future has been on my mind so much. With everything going on in the world, you kind of just don't know where you stand these days. And with all the things coming out about really just how things are run, to put it in the most blanket, like, light statement, it is a question that keeps coming back. You know, what is my future gonna be? How am I gonna, like, what kind of world am I gonna see? What kind of world are my kids gonna be in? You know, that's a lot of things that I discuss a lot in my own life. You know what I mean? Not really on stream. I want to, you know, stream, people don't really want to hear about this shit. So here we go. Let me go ahead and put this track on ice, and then we will hop right in. All right. This is The Human Future, a case for optimism. And something I think we all need to hear. You know what I mean? I think I like being optimistic. I think it's important to be optimistic, especially when you don't know what's going to happen. You know? Stay positive. Let's get it. This is from Melody Sheep. You tell me, bro. That's one way of putting it.
Humanity is at a tipping point. We stand at a crossroads of accelerating change unlike anything ever seen in the history of life.
Ain't it the truth, bro?
It feels as if the future could tip either way. Between utopia and apocalypse. The risks we face are daunting. But beneath the rampant pessimism for our future is evidence that humanity can not only survive the coming centuries, but thrive deep into the future.
What a...
No one knows what comes
What's up,
next.
Timex? How you doing, brother?
But there are three broad paths our future could take.
Hello. Hi, how you doing, brother?
The first is collapse. A major catastrophe threatens the downfall of civilization and possibly even extinction of the human race.
Might be a little too loud.
Second is plateau, where mankind averts collapse but hits an upper limit of progress. And third is transcendence.
Oh, nice. I caught you at a good time
where
then.
Humanity reaches
Hopefully
its
it went
full
well.
potential, multiplies into the trillions, or transforms along the way into something entirely unimaginable.
Dude, this video is very well made. I gotta say, man. You already get the
Envisioning
like
these
from me.
futures will clarify the risks we face and the promise we have as we step into an unpredictable new era.
I think this is much more accurate of what life looks like. This to me seems much more logical than one trend or another. I think the future is changing all the time. There's so many variables that affect human existence, whether it's like somebody who knows who's being born, right? So somebody born today in 30, 40 years from now might come along and change the timeline. You know what I mean? You just never know. And I think people think one way or the other. Things are great, we'll make it, or things are horrible, we'll die and suffer, right? So, you know, I think there's much more to it than that. There's many more layers, and I am of the mindset that truth is much stranger than fiction. I think the world we live in, our perception of it is so far off from what it actually means and what it is that, you know, you can't really assume one thing. You just can't. And I think this is a very accurate representation of that. This looks like some AI work, the 3D models. It looks really good. Like, yeah, a lot of the 3D models did strike me as AI. But this shit is so good now that it is very much, you know, you can't even tell. Like, it's so good. But if this is like what future AI videos look like, I'm so for it, dude. I love it. If people can keep producing stuff like this, oh, this changes the game. I love it.
For planet Earth and for ourselves.
The human future, a case for optimism.
Mankind is no stranger to catastrophe.
That is true. We do it
Our
to ourselves.
ancestors have
A lot of the
survived
time.
asteroid impacts,
That's it.
ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, and deadly plagues,
Spit at your feet.
each time bouncing back to new heights.
Well, just to put in perspective, my father is an artist as well. He's more amazed by it than he is. We're talking about AI here. He is more amazed by it than he is upset by it. I think he understands art in a way that's like, you can't. I'm sure somebody, when mirrors were being used to generate art, thought it was like, not generate, but create art. I'm sure when mirrors were being used back in whatever time frame that was, like, you know, whatever, the Renaissance or whatever, I'm sure somebody who hated it. I'm sure somebody was like, oh, this doesn't take any talent, you're just looking in the mirror and doing that. And I'm sure somebody had the same argument. So it's like, when I see this kind of stuff, as somebody who grew up around an artist with art and real art, like, much more talented than a lot of artists today, for sure, like, hands down. Sorry if that ruffles any feathers, but when you're doing everything from scratch on the computer, whether it's on the computer or off the computer, you're doing everything from scratch. And art is subjective, right? So I know that, but a lot of the art today, for me, even people that claim to be artists, aren't really good. Like, I've grown up around it. It's a part of my life. So not to shit on any artists out there, but everybody's gonna have something to say whenever something new comes out. You know, I'm not saying that this is real compared to something. It's not that. It's more that is kind of the way things work. Like, new things, innovations come around and change the game. That's what it is. Ruffles any feathers. It ruffles all the feathers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all for art. I mean, just look at, that's my father, you know, and he has much more. This, I would say, is the very light version of his art. Like, it does have a lot of work behind it, but there's other things there too, right? So let me show you something else. So that stuff, right? My dad does stuff like that, but he also does stuff like this in his spare time. This is just a pen. And this is straight from his head. You know what I mean? Like, I know what it takes to make art. I know I can't make art. I don't have an artistic bone in my body. My type of art is like cooking and stuff like that. Like, I like to cook, but that's a different level of things. You know what I mean? I can cook better than my dad can, but my dad can do stuff like this all day long, and it's just a natural talent for him. It's something he's always done his whole life. So for him, you know, he has the skills. I've seen what it takes to make art. I know what it is. I know how long it takes. I know what inspiration has to, how it has to manifest for some people. So get with it. You know what I mean? Use it to your advantage. Don't run from it.
But our biggest threats no longer come from the natural world. They come from ourselves. Since the dawn of nuclear weapons, the threats of self-destruction have come to dwarf all others. By some estimates, the risk of causing our own extinction is over 300 times higher than extinction by natural causes. The Future of Life Institute identifies 4 main risks to our survival: nuclear war, climate change, biotechnology, and AI. To comprehend the gravity of these risks, we have to envision their worst possible outcomes.
Sure. So my thought process on this, nuclear war, when you understand, I'm not saying I know everything, right? I'm not saying I understand everything, but my perspective is this. When it comes to nuclear war, it doesn't make money. That is the main thing that takes my... At first I was like, dude, we have all this technology, we have all these bombs, we have all this ability to destroy the world several times over. You know, then that's an understatement. We have no shortage of ways to completely obliterate our existence, right? That's no problem for for the humans. Like, I'm not human. For humankind. But if you understand that money makes the world go round, this doesn't reflect that. So when I was, when I had a different perspective on things, I was kind of like, yeah, we have so many ways that we can just destroy everything. And that was a fear of mine. For a long time, I'm like, when is it going to happen? When is there just going to be this mushroom cloud popping in the distance? You know what I mean? When is it going to happen? But I think it's in no one's interest to go ahead and do that. Nobody wants to hurt themselves. Nobody wants to kill themselves. You know what I mean? And a bunker can only do so much for you. You know what I'm saying? So while this is a fear, and of course it's possible, I don't think it's likely. Because what the name of the game is money and control. This doesn't do that. Does neither of those things.
The soot from a large-scale nuclear war could cool global temperatures by nearly 10 degrees and wipe out up to 63% of the population. We have made strides in reducing nuclear stockpiles, but there are nearly 10,000 warheads still in existence.
Yeah, that Cold War era, wild.
We are on track to heat the Earth by around 2.7 degrees by 2100, which could displace over 1 billion people. But in the worst case, we could trigger CO2 tipping points and cause up to 12 degrees of warming in the coming centuries. Biotechnology has the potential to solve major crises like food scarcity and disease, but could give small groups of people the power to cause global disaster.
This I definitely...
In theory, the release of a designer pathogen could have an even higher death toll than a global nuclear war.
By the way, people are going to hate me for this. Look no further than COVID. We've been through this. It's happened already.
But the hardest risk to gauge stems from AI. It's the first threat we've faced that we may not be able to outsmart. It could become a powerful ally. Or it could ultimately outcompete us for the world's resources and push humanity into obscurity.
And this is the most prevalent
Navigating
thing right
this
now.
new risk landscape will be the biggest challenge we have yet faced.
And also, I saw this video recently circulating. I don't know if it's real or how legit it is, but it seemed pretty authentic to me. Again, because of AI, you have to take things with a grain of salt sometimes and dig a little bit deeper than you normally would. But there was this guy talking on his phone, and he was talking to ChatGPT, I guess the latest version of it, from my understanding. And he told it to say like a bunch of things that make it sound human, like take breaths and stuff like that. And when he finished setting up those parameters and, you know, let it do its thing, it was very hard to tell. There was still some of it there where it was like maybe not mannerisms. I don't know if that's the right word for it. But it did have this way of communicating that was a little off, but to the untrained ear, you probably wouldn't catch it. So it's getting really good really fast. And that's concerning for a lot of different reasons, but this kind of stuff is a more real... This kind of stuff feels more real to me than a nuclear holocaust.
And new, unknown threats are bound to materialize the more we progress.
Sure.
But despite the potential for large-scale human tragedy, few of these risks on their own are likely to lead to our total extinction. In fact, we may be one of the least endangered species on Earth.
Yeah, because we have an insatiable appetite.
Our sheer numbers and broad distribution have
We
given
are
us
the
a
flood.
geographical buffer against extinction. We inhabit every corner of the Earth, from desert to tundra and tiny isolated islands, which could act as natural quarantines in case of global disaster.
I would not be opposed to living in a place like this. I think at some point it'll be what I would strive to do. I think at some point I would back off a little bit from the herd. You know what I mean? I think I would feel better, not in this freezing ass weather, but to be a little more isolated, I think would be healthy, a healthy choice. I'm not some like tinfoil hat guy that's in the that's out in Montana like fixing radio waves and shit. That's not me. But like that separation from society and having my own place to decompress and think and be with my family, and I think that would be a future I would strive for.
Natural quarantines
Personally.
in case of global disaster. Even if 99.9% of humans were eliminated in some catastrophe, 8 million of us would remain, more than existed for most of our history. And although we are slow to reproduce,
Safety in
we
numbers.
no longer rely on the glacial pace of natural selection to adapt. Technology gives us the power to adapt thousands of times faster than any other species in the history of life.
Yep.
Lastly,
That's something that cannot be
our
understated
generalist
enough.
diets allow for a wide flexibility in food sources, a trait that was critical to survivors of past mass extinctions. Ultimately, the threat of collapse hinges on one question: how resilient is civilization?
That is the problem.
How big of a hit can we take and keep going?
I would say cut power, and you'll find out very quickly. You take power away from people, you'll find out very quickly how resilient humanity is.
The Black Death of 1347 killed up to half
What a
the
year.
population of Europe and 1/10 of people globally.
That's insane to think about.
But even this did not derail human progress, and it was followed by the scientific revolution just 200 years later. The same proportional hit today would wreak havoc on our interconnected global economy. But as long as our infrastructure and knowledge remained, we could still rebound and maintain an upward momentum.
I agree with that. As long as things like that are intact.
If we suffered a collapse steep enough to extinguish global industry, it would make for a much longer, more precarious recovery. And if we somehow lost the capability for agriculture and were pushed back to hunter-gatherer lifestyles,
That is
the
what-
Earth could only support 10 million of us.
Yeah.
Our population as it was 100 centuries ago.
Food also has been a bigger concern, has become a bigger concern to me than nuclear holocaust. Food supply. And that's for multiple reasons. But one of the big ones is, again, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, and I don't think these days that word even holds the same amount of weight to it, because of how much you can just find now. But when I hear corporations trying to fuck with agriculture, that is a major red flag for me, and that is something that I think is much more likely to happen than maybe both of these things. Not so much a setback of agriculture, but a control and monetization of agriculture. That's the problem, in my mind. An unhealthy monetization
minimum,
of agriculture.
There would need to be between 100 and 5,000 survivors to successfully repopulate the Earth.
100 to
Below
5,000.
that level,
Wow.
the bottleneck would be too tight, and we might never recover.
That's a lot less than I
To
thought.
comprehend what's at stake, we have to confront what extinction would actually mean. Our greatest threat comes not from a single disastrous event, but from the compounding effects of disasters that overlap and mix together in unpredictable ways. In 2009, two researchers conducted a thought experiment to see what it would take to drive humanity to complete extinction. Phase 1 sees a rapid crash in human population.
I
from
already
global
can't get over how
warfare
good this video
and
is.
collapse of global industry and agriculture. Phase 2 sees the exhaustion of remaining natural resources over the following 2 centuries.
I'm just gonna do it, dude. He deserves
And
it.
Phase 3 envisions a downward spiral of
Let me do both.
ecosystem collapse, punctuated by a supervolcano eruption, leaving the last remaining bands of humanity unable to cling on any longer. Such an outcome would not only be tragic for the loss of life, but for the loss of future potential life. Billions or even trillions of our potential descendants would never materialize. Distant planets would go unexplored. It would mark the end of music, poetry, and art in our corner of the galaxy, and possibly in the entire universe.
I think those things exist in every civilization that has ever existed. And who knows, right? There's billions is not even the word. Trillions, I don't even think is the word or the number or the, But I think this is just a staple of any intelligent civilization. Like those things, whether they be a different idea of what we consider art, music, and all that, or you know, or very close to the same. I think that's something that every civilization just has an appetite for. Maybe it's just human beings. You know what I mean? What do I know, right? This is also like speculation, right? But I feel like those kind of things are appealing to any kind of intelligent existence. The expression just seems so universal to me. And maybe that's just because of my understanding of what life is here. I couldn't imagine a life without it. Fossils, bro. I don't think humans would let themselves go extinct. I mean, that's any species, right? Oh yes, the bunker in the Arctic.
Global Seed Bank in Norway now holds over 1 million seed specimens.
That's right.
For over 4,000 species of plant.
I find that fascinating.
Which could someday be a critical resource for rebuilding civilization. But there's an even better place to build a vault like this.
The Arctic, right?
Some have proposed lunar arks that would store genetic samples in lava tubes beneath the moon's surface.
Oh.
Here, they would be protected from global disaster, erosion, micrometeorites, and solar radiation.
Don't they have plans to do this already? I believe I saw something that said that they were already planning to build structures on the moon. Like that was already in motion. And it would take like a couple months for it to get going. But I believe this is already a plan of action.
But the best way to secure our long-term survival is to take the leap that no other life form has ever taken. To become a multiplanetary species.
I almost think this is a given.
Once a self-sustaining civilization is established on another planet, the chances of our extinction will plummet.
They're already doing it on Mars, or they're about to.
We will carry our flaws with us, and we will face new and unknown risks the further we stray from Earth. But it will be worth it. A sustainable interplanetary civilization will be the foundation for a long and prosperous future. But is this higher future actually in reach? Or are we at the peak of our powers?
No. I disagree with that.
How far can we go?
Sky's the limit. Excuse me.
In theory, it's possible that civilization will hold the status quo for the indefinite future, avoiding both collapse and transformation. there could be unforeseen barriers that keep us in a kind of uneasy stasis. But in reality, plateau will be a temporary state at best.
It's not in our nature. We don't stop.
In the short term,
that's our problem.
Exponential changes in technology and Earth's climate will force civilization into new directions.
Or not a problem.
And the further we push into the future, the greater the disruptions we will face. In the next few 100,000 years, we are due to face supervolcano eruptions and a new ice age, even if we burn every ounce of fossil fuels and bake the Earth.
Yeah, that is the
active
circle.
Climate management, the glaciers will have their revenge
on this
as
planet.
mile-thick sheets of ice steamroll huge swaths of North America and Europe.
Yep.
It's
That's just
believed that
inevitable.
around every 27 million years, Earth experiences a cyclical mass extinction caused by the sun passing through the asteroid-dense middle region of our galaxy. And around 1 billion years from now, the brightening of the sun will make Earth too hot for photosynthesis, and the oceans will slowly boil away, snuffing out all life on our planet.
And the star could collapse. That's another thing.
Modern civilization will not survive these events without a deep transformation. One option will be to let nature run its course on Earth and move to off-world habitats. Bishop rings are circular megastructures that could house over 1 billion people.
I didn't even know they had a name for this. Dude, Gundam had this down already. Gundam knew about this before, far before this video. Gundam already had that. Wild. It's pretty wild. Pretty crazy.
They could provide over 3 million square kilometers of land, as much as India or Argentina. They could be built with lightweight carbon nanotubes, and their rotation would generate enough gravity to hold their own atmosphere. But if we decide to stay earthbound, we are not at the mercy of our planet. We have the power to write its future. Despite all the dangers we face,
you'd have to just go underground.
Futures are well within reach, and sooner than we might think.
Dude, what an amazing video.
To our ancestors, our current powers would appear godlike. But everything we have achieved so far may pale in comparison to what comes next.
Absolutely.
Since the Industrial Revolution, technological progress has been radically improving the human condition in every critical way. Worldwide, quality of life is at an all-time high. We don't perceive these positive trends as clearly due to our negativity bias, which evolved to make us extra attentive to negative information. But the forward momentum is undeniable. Our course correction to a sustainable civilization now appears unstoppable. The costs of solar and wind energy are falling faster than expert predictions, making them often cheaper than fossil fuels. At the same time, converging advancements in AI and biotech are pointing toward a radical enhancement of human well-being. Already, projects like AlphaFold are discovering structures of pathogens and treatments for cancer far faster than humans could. There are over 10,000 diseases that are caused by single gene mutations.
That's crazy.
And gene editing tools like CRISPR have the potential to cure all of them.
CRISPR is a crazy idea. So if you don't know what CRISPR is, it's a genetic customization tool that is capable of pretty much, for example, building the child you want. And it's real. This is not, the reason he's mentioning is because it's there. It's real. I don't know very much about it other than that, but I'm aware of it.
These upward trends are multiplying the human potential many times over. We are now the healthiest, wealthiest, freest, most educated, most advanced population of humans to ever exist.
I agree with all that.
If these trends hold, we could gain the power to regenerate limbs, eliminate all disease, and possibly extend our lifespans indefinitely, putting us on the brink of the most radical transformation in our history.
I think Neuralink does a big piece of that too. Although I personally
Achieving these
am against
breakthroughs will require technological leaps that the human mind alone cannot make. But already, NASA has begun to use AI to design mission hardware, outperforming human designs by a factor of 3.
That's
it's
amazing.
also being pioneered in the development of cleaner biofuels and drought-resistant crops, which could be critical in the fight against climate change.
And then you can drive your V8 and not feel like a piece of shit. And people won't think of you as a piece of shit because you love V8 engines.
And this is just the start. We are witnessing the beginning of an intelligence explosion, which could lead to an artificial superintelligence that far exceeds human capabilities, able to solve complex problems that have defied humanity.
Exciting
Aligning
times.
it to human values will be a huge and novel challenge. But it will be a vital step. Not just for the enormous prosperity it could bring, but to counter the threat of malicious AIs. A safely aligned superintelligence should be a prime objective for human progress.
I can definitely see AI wars being a thing, which I never considered. That is a real problem. Like, if all these people were to, or all these warring countries were to generate their own malicious AI and use that as a weapon against each other, which to me is just such a small brain thing. I feel like if your mind turns towards that as being the future of humanity, like if that is something that is your objective, then what can I say except we deserve to go extinct? Instead of improving life, we're going to go ahead and use it for this. We deserve to go extinct. We did it to ourselves.
If we can safely harness the power of AI for human betterment, then we can paint a utopian future our ancestors could hardly fathom.
That's my dearest hope.
A future free of disease and hunger, where biotechnology has stabilized the climate and biodiversity.
Ah, that would be amazing.
Where abundant clean energy is developed in concert with AI. Where breakthroughs in rocketry and materials science have propelled humans to distant planets and moons. And where new tools for artistic and musical expression open new frontiers of beauty, experience, and understanding. And all of this could be just the prologue to an even grander future.
Wow. The visuals, man. Better than most AAA games. Or quadruple
If our energy use continues its exponential growth, we could eventually control more energy than the Earth itself receives, becoming a Type 1 civilization. A recent study shows this could occur as soon as the year 2371.
Yeah,
And
us
by
becoming a Type 1, if anybody's going to do it, it's
3%
us.
yearly growth, we would reach Type 2 in just a few thousand years, able to control all the energy
I was going to say, harness
from
the sun. Yep. And stabilize it? Can you imagine that?
If our species survives until the death of the sun in 5 billion years, it could lead to the existence of some 600 quadrillion people.
I can't even imagine that.
And by colonizing space, vastly more still could come into existence. Something like 100,000 trillion people in the Milky Way. But the farther we spread into space and time, the more different we will become.
Yep. We ourselves become alien.
It's possible that we will splinter into multiple species,
Of course.
each with a different tolerance for change. Some may choose to merge with our machines into a new hybrid species, rejecting natural selection in favor of technological evolution, while others may choose to remain fully biological. This splintering would mark the first time since the Neanderthals that more than one human-like species walked the Earth. And if we ever come to digitize our consciousness, human identity could branch into an infinite number of varieties. As we grow into new, more powerful forms, we will eventually have to confront a profound question.
This is mind-blowing.
What is our ultimate purpose in the universe? We could aim for the lofty goal of colonizing the entire galaxy, of becoming a Type 3 civilization and reordering the Milky Way to our own designs. We could aim to outlive the stars themselves in some 100 trillion years. But these far-off dreams are not for us to realize. If they are ever achieved, it will be by some distant descendant of ours, evolved far beyond their
That's
human roots.
insane.
Instead, perhaps humanity's ultimate goal should be a more personal one. To save the Earth, the little rocky planet where it all began. By pulling Earth away from the expanding sun, we could prolong the game of life by billions of years.
That makes sense.
This could be done by building a giant conductive counterweight on the far side of the moon. The process would take millions of years. but it would be a truly worthy goal. To offset the destruction we have caused and keep life flourishing for eons more. A final act of redemption for humanity.
Wow. Chills, man. He's right, man.
Only the worst case scenarios can stop us. If we can avoid them, we have the potential to seed a vast new branch of life that could outgrow Earth itself and spread across the universe.
Amazing.
If there is one lesson our history can teach us, it's to never underestimate the human race.
Hats off to you, dude. Hats off. Absolutely. What an amazing video. What a crazy video. I wonder how long this took. What an amazing video. I gotta say, guys, this might be the most amazing video I've ever seen on YouTube. Like, I can't think of something that comes close to this. I can't think of it. I can't think of it. Dude, I gotta say, man, this is such a great video, man. This is right up, like, dude, it's much more than I thought it would be. It's so compelling and so well done. It made me feel like a bunch of emotions. Like, dude, this just checks so many boxes for me. Like, this is my type of shit. This is, like, where I am happiest. But, I mean, what an amazing video. It's crazy. It's crazy, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this rings true. And I thank God every day I was born an intelligent human being. A human being, but like intelligent life. I think that is a gift that I would not trade for anything. The ability to think and problem solve and just be an autonomous being with power to change their life. I think that is a gift that a lot of people take for granted. And this video has just highlighted how grateful I am to be human, to be sentient. It's just, yeah, man, I agree with everything in this video. I think it was so well constructed, like just down to the statistics, from the statistics to the visuals to the logic behind it. I think it's just an amazing video. This is the best video I've ever seen on YouTube ever. Maybe just the best video I've ever seen, but I'm so glad that I found it. I'm so glad I took a chance on it. Here, guys, give them all the support, man. Give them all the support. I mean, I got nothing. I'm speechless. Dude, give it a like really, dude, support all the way. All the way. Like, what an amazing video. What more can I say? What more can I say, man? Man, I wish I could make videos like that. And just the painstaking time and effort it took, I think it's just amazing. Like, what can I say? What can I say? It's amazing.